Luke Cage, hero for loan? Hi again, I'm Ryan, your host of The Toast, and we're going to be talking about Luke Cage. Now, I had the pleasure of staying in Harlem while I was watching this show, so I really did get a feel for it. The atmosphere of Harlem itself really did blur the line between the show and my stay in New York, and it really gave me a perspective I did not expect. Now, I'm going to say spoiler warning just to cover my ass, even though I'm not really going to talk about any spoilers. This is going to be a very, very safe review, although I am going to mention one twist that happens mid-show, that's it. Now, Netflix and Marvel has a great track record so far, but I do have to say that Luke Cage is kind of the weakest entry. No, hear me out. The show is in no way bad. I mean, I could sing the praises of a show about a bulletproof black man in a hoodie all day, but everyone else is doing that, so let's talk about some other things. Now, Luke Cage is played by Mike Colter, an excellent choice who can give some really great monologues and speeches for a character I only know for punching walls. So Luke Cage, or Carl Lucas, was wrongfully imprisoned, forced to fight, proving himself a candidate for an experiment to make, you guessed it, super soldiers. Everything boils down to super soldiers. So things explode, Carl escapes, changes his name to Luke Cage, and discovers he's super strong and bulletproof. Oh, and at some point bangs Jessica Jones, but that's another show. But the strength of this show is definitely its actors. Simone Cook as Detective Misty Knight is a strong and compelling force. Alfre Woodard as Mariah Dillard is just a hot and cold mess who apparently met Tony Stark. Rosario Dawson is still incredibly crush-worthy. Then you got Theo Russi as Shades, a real wild card in the show, and I gotta admit, by the end of the show, I was rooting for Shades. I mean, how can you not root for basically a younger, granted evil version of Agent Coulson? I mean, just listen to him. But yet again, the villain steals the show. Cornell Stokes, aka Cottonmouth, aka Mahershala Al-Hashbal Ali. He had an incredible presence, enigmatic and composed. He had a way of talking that really did captivate and threaten you at the same time. A competent and down-to-earth villain. I'm so glad they didn't drop him for someone more cartoony. Oh, goddammit! Similar to Daredevil Season 2, what with the zombie ninjas, Netflix drops the realism it has done so well. Cottonmouth is replaced with Diamondback, a cliché Saturday morning cartoon character. Although he does look like a snake, I'll give him that. I mean, they did cast him well compared to the comics. Now, the story of the show is pretty straightforward. No, it isn't. That's a lie. The story itself is small and localized, but full of double crosses, criminal politics, and family drama. I'm not even going to try and explain the whole thing, but it does feel a bit stretched, like they could have fit the whole thing in about 6 episodes. What bugs me is the show didn't really have any creative challenges for Luke. I mean, the man's virtually indestructible, but instead of playing around that fact, nope, magic bullets. Not even magic bullets can harm that fridge, though. That thing made it through the entire show without a scratch. Now, I'm not a Luke Cage expert by any means, and all I know about him is that Nicolas Cage got his name from this character. But what I do know is he is the hero for hire. Or supposed to be. But no matter how many times they try and hire him, he's never actually for hire. Isn't that a huge part of his character? That he has to pay the bills and is not too virtuous to accept money? I don't know, maybe they'll play with that later in Iron Fist or something. So in the end, Luke Cage is worth watching, but it is a much slower burn than most of the Marvel Netflix shows. Admittedly, when you've got a super strong guy who's bulletproof, I expected more action. I mean, yeah, it's cool to see Luke Cage just walk around and take the bullets, but really it happens not very often. There's a bunch of episodes where I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm glad they're putting all this character work into the show, but I would like to see him kick some ass. And it's been 45 minutes. Are we going to get any bullets flying in this episode? I don't think so. Usually I'm not sold on just action, but it's Luke Cage. Oh, but I gotta mention, this thing is full of good music and good musicians, so, you know, props there. I said props and it sounded like pops. That's another thing I didn't mention, but you know what? Just watch the show. So I have to give Luke Cage a toast and jam.
Jammy.
I mean, the toast itself might be a little overdone, but it's still tasty and you could do worse. Anyway, if you want to see more from me, click away and I'll catch you next time. Cheers. I do love that they show stuff like the original outfit with the tiara and they do it in a flashbacky, jokey kind of way. They don't try and force it in, kind of like what Diamondback's outfit looks like. It's the delicate balance of what kind of design do you include from the books and how do you make it modern. I mean, they're doing a good job with it. The Diamondback thing is probably the lowest point they've gotten, but otherwise, no, keep going, Netflix, you're doing a good job. I look forward to Defenders.